We are recording. Welcome back to the Ape Podcast. I'm sitting here with my longtime friend, Mr. Joshua Bell.
How's it going, guys? How's it going, man?
Hell yeah. Yeah, Josh and I mean, how long have we known each other? Since Safety Patrol Camp.
Safety Patrol Camp, yeah.
5th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, on my podcast, as you know, I'm trying to talk about, like, American politics, American culture, and I know that, like, something that's been big in my life is, like, you know, fitness, right? And that's something that you're really disciplined with. So I figured you'd be a good guest to bring on board and chat about discipline, fitness, and, you know, life growing up in California and everything under the sun. So
Yeah. No, I'm excited, man. I'm honored. Thank you for having me on, man.
for sure, dude. So let's see. When we first met each other was, Safety Patrol Camp, 5th grade. Was what up in, what was that, like Palomar Mountain?
Yeah, Palomar. I remember because I thought the counselor was your brother because I guess everybody was saying, I don't remember his name.
His name was B, Asian guy. Yeah, my sister's a Vietnamese friend who was, he was counseling, because, they had, high schoolers were, it's like high schoolers or early adults were allowed to get their volunteer hours at Safety Patrol Camp,
Yeah, and then there was that, they were telling us that folk tale about the weir or
some sort of scary story or something. Yeah, I remember, I think it was some sort of scary story where it was like some camper from years ago was like haunted or something, and it was like underneath his mattress has like a big, X or something, and they were pranking me. I found out that they were pranking me because my mattress had a fucking big X on the bottom of it, and I just remember my other friend who was on the bottom bunk was totally flipping his shit. It was a funny time. Yeah, and but I met you and your twin brother Jason. And at the time you had a fucking huge afro, and that's like what I immediately remember is just like you two guys, and because we went to different schools, So
I would say that was the first time I actually, because I remember they had those dances and stuff. Because there was every night you had an activity you could do, whether you wanted to go to the movie theaters, the game room, or some of the dances. And that was the first time I ever got grinded on. So, dude,
5th grade's the best, man. 5th grade's the best.
Yeah, and I remember, even during the daytime, they would have like the candy shop, or you could go to the pool and stuff. And like, I guess they had like diving contests and stuff. So I don't know. I thought Safety Patrol Camp was a lot cooler than 6th grade camp, whatever. So.
Yeah, and I forgot because they did it in the same fucking place. But Safety Patrol was like, an extracurricular you take in elementary school, and it's like where you're holding up the stop signs and everyone's wearing red. You get 1 day per week. I thought it was fun. You know
what's crazy about Safety Patrol Camp or Safety Patrol in general is for kids to be controlling traffic and how much I'm not sure if am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
How much shit we got from pissed off adults and stuff, like driving up to and sometimes I remember even getting flipped off by an adult, and I was like, what the hell? I'm like a kid directing traffic.
What did I do?
Dude, it's like, dude, this is my job, whatever. But I don't know. It was a cool experience, though. I'm definitely thankful for it.
Yeah, and I forgot that's funny that you mentioned that, because I forgot it was like, if you see someone, some parent or something, break the law or park somewhere they shouldn't have parked, you're like,
supposed to write their license plate.
And then all of a sudden they get a ticket, and it's like, wow, I had that control over that, parent's life.
The first time I had power.
Oh man. Yeah, I forgot. What do you call it? I met Corey Bryant in a Safety Patrol camp. Jacob Jordan, dude, 5th grade's crazy, man.
Yeah. I think Nathan was even in Safety Patrol camp. I'm not sure if he went to the camp, but I do remember he was in our little group, whatever, at our elementary school. He was in our little Safety Patrol group every morning. So
yeah.
Shout out to Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan Sawney, man. Yeah, I was walking by his house not too long ago, just walking around Mira Mesa with my dad. So, but what was I gonna say? It was cool because what do you call it? 6th grade camp was at the same spot. I met you guys at Safety Patrol camp, and then 2 months later, 6th grade starts. So it's like, we're all coming from, these different elementary schools, meeting up at the middle school, feeling like an adult, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was just the beginning of all the mischief, we went through as children. It was definitely started in middle school.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that school was definitely for lack of better words, a life-changing experience as far as like all the stuff we were exposed to, and like I guess like because they had I guess it was their version of Freshman Fridays where they would pick on sixth graders and stuff, and we had to learn about that stuff. Yeah. And we were always terrorized too as by the eighth graders because I guess maybe they were scared that they were going to go in for their ninth grade year and have to deal with Freshman Fridays. But yeah, I remember just that bullying and stuff. Whatever it was an interesting thing because some people it was a way of bonding, I guess, where we kind of teamed up, whatever, or met each other and stuff with certain situations and stuff that maybe have happened in middle school and stuff. So that was dope.
Yeah, it's funny because like I feel like we're both born '97, so that's fucking before iPhones, before freaking smartphones, social media. I just feel like life was like a lot more simple back then. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, you weren't so occupied with social media or like getting approval and stuff. A lot of the things you had to experience while you're there. And I mean, the closest thing you got to were these little disposable cameras and stuff. 'Cause I even have some of the pictures and stuff that I remember bringing my disposable camera to sixth grade camp and safety patrol camp. And like I said, you just relived memories through photos and stuff. It wasn't through video. They're pulling up your phone and like taking things on Snapchat, nothing like that. So I don't know. Times have changed. It's weird.
Yeah. I watched a documentary recently where some guy was talking about he went to jail like a year or two before iPhones came out, and it was just like, yeah, dude, I was in jail for like 5 years, and out of nowhere I come out and everyone's like glued to their phone. He was like, I didn't know what the hell was going on, like some sort of Matrix or something.
Yeah, no, I even seen one that was similar, and he was talking about, I think as far like I think maybe the Nintendo 64 was out, and like Mario Kart and stuff was a big thing. And by the time he came back out, it was like Grand Theft Auto 4 and stuff. So like the big difference, and as far as like graphics and stuff, and like how realistic it looked, like it was like a little too much for him. So took some adjusting for him. So yeah, it's weird how fast technology and stuff is advanced in just such a short amount of time.
Yeah. I did a video on my channel where it was talking about how, you know, Gen Z, or really it was like mainly people born after like 95. They like there was a cultural shift because like during the 90s, I guess there was like more child abductions, and that was more on the media. It was like all over the news and stuff. So like people as a whole started to get really cautious about letting their kids out, and you know, and that was just the beginning of it, because I think when you and me were 14, 15, boom, social media is like coming out. Everyone's like making a Twitter and an Instagram, and I just felt like everything was, you know, it went downhill from there. No, just kidding. But yeah, man, dude, I appreciate you coming out. I'm you know, just shared a little bit about like the YouTube channel, and you know, I feel like you and me always have a good, you know, laugh together. And I mean, like I said, we've known each other for a long time, but I'm trying to get into a habit of just setting up these, you know, recorded discussions with people that I like, and, you know, people who want, you know, have good intentions and just talk about the fucking, you know, the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, one thing I wanted to talk to you about was tattoos, because like, you know, clearly I like tattoos, you like tattoos. And, you know, I always felt like I was one of the earlier ones out of my friends to get tattoos because I was 16, but you were fucking 14.
Yeah, no, but it's
what was that like?
I remember I had made, when I got my first tattoo, it was my chest piece, and it was a bet I did with my dad. I had said, because I had at the time, track was my sport, and I really wanted to get something as a reminder.
100 pounds ago. 100 pounds of muscle ago. Yeah.
When I was a twig, but yeah, no, I wanted to get something as a reminder to myself of why I loved doing what I was doing at the time, which was track, and keep my consistency and my discipline there. And what my first tattoo says is, God gave me wings because I refused to fall. And at that time, I think as a freshman, I had just broken our school record for the 800 meters. And me and the senior on the varsity team would battle back and forth for as far as in that event. And I said if I ever went below 2 minutes, which was at the time was the school record, I asked my dad, I wanted a tattoo to represent my dedication and my hard work and discipline to achieving that goal. And yeah, once I had accomplished that and got it, it was a very rewarding experience or thing, but it was very cool to always see that reminder in the mirror every time I wake up, because like one of the things that I like about tattoos is they take you back to a time where when you got them, and that's always been powerful to me. So that's where a lot of my tattoos come from. They represent a time period, maybe a turning phase in my life, or just a memorable time for me.
Yeah.
But I do remember you were when you got your tattoo, or when you were tattooing back in high school. That was always a cool thing. Whatever. I always you'd always been, even when in middle school, I felt like you were ahead of a lot of us, maturity wise. So it was always cool. It was always cool, whatever, to see what Lee was going through, or what was in the mind of Lee. So when I heard you were tattooing, I was like, oh, dude, that's fucking dope, whatever. And then, I found out you tattooed Jordan Acosta.
He still has it.
Yeah. So tell me, where's your fascination and stuff with tattooing? Because I know you were big into art and stuff.
I think that's how it started, because my dad was big. Like, my dad was a practicing attorney, right? So but on his free time, like, very much enjoyed drawing. Like, he liked to do cartoons, he liked to paint, all that type of stuff. So I think, fortunately, me and my siblings, we were raised in more of an artistic environment, which I think is, was very helpful, although it did maybe result in me getting tattoos, but I'll take ownership on that. But yeah, I think my dad's always been big into art. His mom, who of course born in like the 20s, right? So she was a military wife, and as most wives were back then, and her husband, my grandpa, was in the Navy, and like a lot of people were career military back in the day, right? Like World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all that stuff. So she was, basically stay-at-home military wife, and just got really, really good at painting. So I'm sure you've seen some of the paintings, like, I had in my room growing up, and like, there's one in the kitchen, but she had just some really nice paintings that we've kept since she passed. And I think that's probably where my dad got it from. But yeah, I mean, it was really like, my dad was the one who I think got me into appreciating art. And funny enough, since he was a prosecutor, and he used to prosecute, or in his earlier days was focused on taggers, like graffiti artists and all this stuff. So he had all this art in the garage of, like other people's graffiti of like, guys that maybe he, put away, let's say. And I was just like, oh man, like these look cool. What's going on here? And of course, years later, I, ended up spray painting my own wall. And it wasn't any fancy wall. It was, the abandoned dam out in Escondido. So there was already graffiti there. So no worries on that. But yeah, I think like, I don't know. I always thought tattoos were cool. I think when I was like under 10 years old, I thought it'd be cool to get tattoos or get sleeves. And, of course, like, thank God I didn't get them that, long ago. But yeah, I always wanted one. And I think when I turned 16, I had a minimum wage job. So I was like, getting, some money, and thought it was all cool, and ended up, I bought a tattoo machine online, and ended up coming in the mail. And, I was a little bit of a slacker in school, but, I would maybe like ditch class, and gave myself my first tattoo, the anchor on my leg, which I've touched up since then. But yeah, that kind of kicked things off. And I think like a lot of my friends thought it was cool. So I ended up giving my friends a bunch of random tattoos, and some turned out really good and some turned out really effed up. But, I think, like you said, I think what's cool about it is just the memory, the memory of it. And, like even, Zach Sanchez, like he's got a tattoo that I did on him that he's still got, and it's a cool memory.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's dope too. And that's another reason why I've always wanted a tattoo from you, is it's kind of like, a piece that will always remind me of like maybe our friendship, and the times that we've spent. Because I can always say that you're a very good friend to me. So you've had my back in very difficult situations, even hard times. So I always had to thank you for that. But yeah, man, that's dope.
Hell yeah, man. And I feel like, what do you call it? I know your brother got, like he's freaking super tatted up too. Yeah, and I think I think it was like, he got his sleeve done in high school, but then ended up getting like portions of it like lasered off,
dude,
right?
yeah.
I haven't done any lasering or anything like that, but I heard it was mayhem. Like,
yeah, and I guess even that whole tattoo experience for him, because I remembered when he was getting that sleeve done, the artist, the needle, originally it wasn't even the artist that was supposed to tattoo him, because that guy had canceled, and then he got moved over to another apprentice, or like maybe his apprentice or another artist in the shop. So the guy was like,
his first pick.
Yeah, so he was like, okay, I'll take over the work. And I remember I'd went with him when he got dropped off, and you'd usually expect a tattoo to take, this was around like 12 or so, usually expect to take no more than 6-8 hours. And it got later and later, and I was like, you know what's happening? I texted him, and I guess the needle had broke a couple times while he was getting his tattoo. And yeah, it just came out very, I didn't think it was too bad, but like
he didn't like it.
He didn't like it. And he had wished the skyline had came out a little bit cleaner. And yeah, so he went through the process of getting it lasered, and I highly recommend, if you guys are ever going to get a tattoo, do your research. If anything happens last minute, I don't care if you're going to lose your deposit and stuff. Nothing is worth a rush tattoo or from something you didn't want. Those last minute decisions or deciding that, you will always, remember, this is something that you're going to be having. It's permanent. It's lifelong. So you want something that you're going to enjoy, you're going to like looking at. So yeah, never make a rush decision, and it's okay. It's just a deposit. You can always get that money back. But yeah, yeah, he got it lasered. He put something over it. It came out pretty good. He's
got some awesome ones.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we all do, right? It's like, oh man, once you can like legally get one done, all of a sudden your options open up to better artists.
Yeah, but that's the thing too, because you'll always see like another artist, maybe from maybe another country or something like that, and you're like, oh, I want his artwork. And that's the thing where I kind of don't mind mixing too much, but once I have an artist start like on a major body part, like if I do want to do a leg sleeve or something, I kind of want that artist to finish it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the hard thing. Whatever is, I don't want to have too many artists or have an artist finish up somebody else's work that I dedicated for that artist and stuff. So yeah, and to each its own. Like if your thing is you want different artists to do it, hey man, if that's your thing, do that. That's the cool thing about getting tattoos and stuff. It's personal to you. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. My biggest thing is there's no such thing as a shitty tattoo unless it is obviously offensive to another group of people or hating. Other than that, if it's something that resonates with you, go for it.
Yeah, no face swastikas.
Unless you want to put a heart in the middle.
Yeah, that makes it better. Yeah, I think that's good advice though, because like I clearly have a lot of tattoos myself, and I don't have any regrets on them, even the crappy ones I got on my thighs and all that. But I feel like one of the pieces of advice I don't hear enough is like if you're looking to get a sleeve, like think of the entire sleeve
before plan it out.
Exactly, yeah, because a lot of people, and I think the main reason is like, a lot of people, they don't think they're going to get a sleeve, and they just get like one big piece on their arm or whatever. It looks awesome, and then maybe a couple years later they decide, okay, I'm just going to finish out my sleeve, and then maybe you're at a different artist at that time. Maybe it doesn't end up looking as good versus the people I've seen who even get full-blown bodysuits planned out and they look freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I like talking about tattoos, but I also have this new appreciation for tattoo artists because you've sat through some long sessions yourself, like, Angel Reynosa in San Diego has got awesome work.
Oh yeah.
But these guys, like, they hustle their butts off. You don't need to go to freaking college. You don't need to do any of that. But they found a trait, a skill that they just worked at and got better and better and better. And some of these guys make a couple $1,000 a day.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, it's a freaking, it's a good career to get into if you're willing to put in the work.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then one thing too, that I feel kind of does suck as far as that these artists don't get appreciation for is how long it took for them to how much time it took them to master their craft. Because when you start anything, like whether it's barbering, tattooing and stuff, you're not going to come out, your first couple clients are not going to your first couple pieces and stuff are not going to come out the best, but the fact that you persevered, you put in the time, and then by year 3 and stuff, you'll be pretty astonished with how much growth you've accomplished throughout that time. And I don't know. It's cool to look back on your gallery as far as the progression and stuff. So
yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why the name of my podcast, American Pursuit of Excellence, like the pursuit of excellence. If I chose that because if I interact with anyone and they're like, and what's my one piece of advice I would give to that person is pursue excellence. Whether you're going to be a plumber, you're going to go to school, you're going to become a tattoo artist, basketball player, whatever the hell it is, try to maximize as much growth as you can. Maybe you decide that you don't want to do that anymore after a few years, but you've gotten good at that skill and you've learned a lot about yourself in that process.
Very true.
And I think, and I think why I keep bringing up the tattoo artist is because I feel like I always understood that concept, hey, work hard, it's something that as you're growing up, adults are telling you that stuff. But I just think it's kind of cool because I've met people who I know people who have gone to college and are doing nothing at all and are crappy people. You know what I mean? And then I've also met a lot of tattoo artists who are yeah, I didn't go to school. I didn't have any of that crap. Is I just found something I liked and got really good at it. And now all of a sudden they're paying for their parents' bills and they're got a house and raising kids. And, so it's a good example where it's just find something productive to do and work at it and you'll get better inevitably.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. In fact, there was even a story about some student or a teacher and a student, and it was told from the teacher's perspective, but I guess the kid was flunking all his classes, and what she would notice, or what I think it was a she, what she would notice is that this kid didn't excel in anything else or didn't have any drive or passion for anything else, but he did like to draw a lot. And she happened to notice she had a friend who was a tattoo artist, and she told him, hey, stop by his shop, see if you can apprentice for him. And yeah, so if it's not meant for you, as far as maybe school is not your option, I feel like it's pushed too much as far as schooling, or going to trade school or doing, some type of or academic career, or even going into, the military.
Mm-hmm.
I feel do something you're passionate about, find something you like and pursue it. And I guess this kid, after a couple of years, he came back and he was a tattoo artist at that same shop. And he thanked the teacher. He thanked her for taking the time to encourage him to do something that he's passionate about. Even if it wasn't the quote unquote
traditional path.
Yeah. So I admire teachers who even take that that path, because I don't feel like there's a one size fits all for everybody, and to have that approach is so, I don't know, ignorant to have on kids and stuff. Because we're not all going to be scholars.
Yeah.
Or,
we're not all going to be plumbers. We're not all going to be tattoo artists. But it's find something and fucking work at it.
Yeah. And like you were saying too, you grow so much too, even if that doesn't end up being the thing that you like to do. I thought I was going to be a Olympian at some point. And in that path, I've ran into bodybuilding. First, I actually started off with powerlifting, but if you had told myself, my 14-year-old self, that, hey man, you're going to be some powerlifter or some bodybuilder, or you're actually going to put on 25 pounds of muscle, I would have laughed at you, whatever, and go dude, I'm going to be a twig for the rest of my life, whatever. But yeah, I just didn't envision that for myself. But yeah, life happens, and as long as you pursue something and give your best effort, you'll find out a lot about yourself.
Yeah. And I give you props, man. I feel like I didn't start working out seriously until I was maybe 18, 19. And then that's when I remember you started lifting a bunch, and then we would go to 24-hour fitness together. And, I'd be like, all right, how should I do this? How should I do that? But it was just funny because even in high school, I had a gym membership and I was working out, but it was chest every day. I wasn't doing it right, and I probably wasn't even pushing myself that hard.
And that's one tip that I would give to anybody who's thinking about getting into the gym, is I would break it down like this. And I was thinking about this the other day. If I had to start all over tomorrow and I were to start working out again, how would I do it, and what would I do to be the most diligent? And one, I would start off with setting a goal. You want to set a goal. The goals are going to vary from person to person. Obviously, the 30-year-old, 35-year-old who's trying to lose some weight, his goals are going to be a lot, or his goals going to be a lot different from a 14-year-old in high school who wants to make the varsity team. But yeah, you want to start off by setting a goal. A lot of people, like you were just saying, when they first get into it, they do things going to the gym monotonously. They don't have a plan. They just do it, and they think that these results are going to come. So yeah, you want to set a goal. 2, you want to have a plan and execute your plan. Make sure your plan fits your goal. And 3, I would say you want to make it easy on yourself. I can go into depth about that, but to kind of touch up on that, meal prepping, for example. For me, meal prepping, I remember I used to I would go to the store, buy a bunch of groceries, spend about $300, and I would try to meticulously plan out all my meals, what I was going to have for Wednesday, what I was going to have for Thursday. Make it easy on yourself. Meal prep a bunch of like 3 pounds of chicken, and just for reference or just for a helpful tip, 1 pound of any meat is approximately 100 grams of protein. So let's say you grab 3 pounds of chicken, 3 pounds of beef, cook that all up, put them in separate Tupperware, put it in your refrigerator, and the day of, you can grab from the different Tupperware and make your meals. That way you don't have to plan out what exact meal you're going to have that day. And then kind of ties into 3, you want to track everything. Track your workouts, track your food that you're getting in, because there's no way to measure progress unless you're tracking that's written down. And 5, I guess, have fun and embrace the environment. There's so many communities that you go to, whether you're in schooling, whether you're in the gym. There's so many different resources you can have access to. People themselves are resources. You can talk to people. Not only will it make you feel comfortable in the gym for anybody who has social anxiety getting into the gym, but you make so much more friends. You get comfortable, and you learn so much from just talking to people or figuring out what this person does and then trying it for yourself. And then that ties back into 4, where you track that. And yeah, that's what, if I were to redo it all, that's exactly how I would do it.
Nice. Yeah. And one thing you mentioned there is so like the community aspect, right? And one of the major recommendations I have for young adults is, regardless of what path you choose, find a mentor. It's like, dude, you can expedite the crap out of, learning, figuring out what mistakes are. Like if, again, I work in sales, doesn't matter if you're a firefighter, a fucking nurse, like find a mentor, learn what mistakes they made so you don't have to make them. And you will inevitably make mistakes. And then then you teach that to the next guy, pay it forward. But so I feel like that's really an underappreciated tip, is just find a community, find a mentor, find people who enjoy doing what you're trying to get better at, learn from them, and also like immerse yourself in that environment. You know what I mean? And the same thing with the tattoo artist. Like even, any shop you go to, there's an apprentice hanging out, sitting around, asking questions, like having a good time. And it's like, that's the best way you're going to learn. Exactly. And even if it's like, hey, I want to go learn Italian, what better way than to be in a Italian community and like force yourself to freaking learn the language.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what else was I going to say? And also it depends on, so like back to fitness specifically, it depends on where you are individually as a person, right? So just like you said, like if you're a heavier guy trying to lose weight, you're going to have a different routine than a skinny guy trying to gain weight. Mm-hmm. And I also think, like, taking it a step further, it also depends on, like, if you're someone who is, 300 pounds, you're really overweight, like, you don't have to jump in and have this perfect diet and have this perfect, routine. Anything's better than what you're doing now. Like, walking 1 mile a week is better than 0 miles a week. So it's like, because I've met people who are like, very large, let's say, and they're like, yeah, I want to lose weight. I want to get healthier. I don't know where to start. I don't know how I can do it. And it's like, okay, if you think about the goal of losing 200 pounds, that sounds like a huge task, you know what I mean? Versus like walk around the block once. Like that's already better than not walking around the block, right? So it's like, it really depends on where you're at. doing a little bit consistently can help get you excited and can get you into the groove of like, oh crap, I walked a mile. Oh, now I can do 2 miles. Now I can do 3. And all of a sudden you have more energy to go to the gym. Now you want to eat better and now you have better cravings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I just think that's something I would tell myself too if I were to, talk to 18-year-old Lee about, lifting.
Yeah. Just even the positive momentum. Mike Tyson used to do it. And it's little victories add up over time into bigger victories. So he would take a notepad and he would write down things that he wanted to do throughout the day. And at the end of the day, he would go off and check off the things that he was able to accomplish. And then for the next day, he would set whatever he didn't finish that day would be go into next day's task, and then on top of whatever goals and stuff. And you'll see over time, you build this not only more momentum, but it's due to the fact that you're building more trust with yourself. You start to believe that, okay, these things that I say I want to do, I follow through and I complete these things. And yeah, it's just this whole process. I think it all boils down to just trusting yourself at the end of the day and having confidence in that you can accomplish these things that you set your mind to.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the bodybuilders and, I guess they're still bodybuilders, like, fitness gurus, all that stuff. A lot of those guys are really OCD and are like really disciplined.
Dude,
you know what I mean? And I feel like that's like a skill that you have, whether that's a skill or a trait or whatever. Like, I know you're a pretty disciplined OCD type of guy, and that really transfers over to you're really thorough about what you eat and how you work out and all that.
Yeah, especially if you want to dive into the bodybuilding world, these small variables, especially as far as how much carbs you're taking in, your sodium, especially as you get closer to your prep, these things all matter as far as whether you spill over, when you step on the stage, how you look, little things like that. And that's why if you get a good coach, and ties into getting a mentor or something, but when you get a good coach, let's say for somebody who's trying to bodybuild, they do peak demos or peak weeks or demo peak weeks, where they test pulling your carbs or pulling your sodium to see how your body responds to these things, whatever. And that way, when it comes time for peak week for you, before your show, you know how to effectively do it and how your body's going to respond, and you don't have bad results when you step on the stage. And yeah, it's just these little, by controlling as many variables as you can make or break whether you come out in first call outs or third call outs. And let's say for the bodybuilding perspective. Mm.
How does that work? Because I know, like you're in that community, like, a lot of other, like, fitness bodybuilder guys, like, how does that work? Like, I'm assuming they have to compete on like a local level. If they do really well, they go to some sort of national level, or like, what's that process?
Exactly. So there's a bunch of, competitions, like small competitions and stuff, that usually if you have a good coach, he'll have you go into one of these smaller competitions, unless he feels that you are ready to compete at one of the NPC levels, which is the highest level where you can usually get your pro card. But yeah, usually they'll test you out, test the waters, do one of these smaller competitions, just to build your confidence. And a lot of people don't realize that posing is a big thing. A lot of people think that, it's you want to be a mass monster when you step on stage, look cut up the most, and usually that has nothing to do with it. I've seen guys with incredible physique step on stage and they don't know how to pose for shit, whatever, and they place very bad with the judges, and the judges usually. Judges always give you, after your scoring and stuff, they tell you where you can improve on the next time you step on stage, and a lot of people lack in posing. And but yeah. You want to have a good coach at the end of the day. And these things, those are what will eventually make or break your success in the sport. Mm-hmm.
And putting in the work. I mean, it's like you got to fucking spend the hours in the gym, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But but having a coach, holds you reliable or accountable. True. Usually if you have a good coach, you also get weekly check-ins. Mm-hmm. So all these things matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, what do you call it? Like I mentioned earlier, but like when I first started working out, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of jumping in, like doing whatever. But I remember the biggest, like, the virgin gains that I got was when I just switched to doing dedicated body parts on a certain day. So it was like, okay, Monday I'm going to go hard at chest, and then Tuesday I'm going to go hard at back, and then Wednesday I'm going to go hard at legs or arms, whatever. And then I felt like when I just did that, I still do that, but I was like, I've been doing that for years, but I feel like that's what was a big changer for me where, and usually a good like beginner recommendation for people, cause again, like my audience that I'm trying to focus towards is like teenagers, young adults. If I were to talk to 18-year-old me, it's like, okay, slow down on the mass gainer, and then have your isolated, body part workouts like per certain days. But I guess from your recommendation, find a mentor and all that. Like, what would you say to like certain teenagers if they're like, oh man, like I see all these buff guys on social media, is this something I want to do? I like being fit. I like being athletic. Like, what type of advice would you have for them?
Decide. Okay, so with the sport of bodybuilding, I think a lot of people underestimate their own body's genetics and their own potential. And we kind of touched up on this a little bit earlier, but I think a troubling thing that I do see in this society now is kids see their favorite influencer. They say, oh, I want to do this. I want to pursue bodybuilding. But now there's a new coming age where transparency is a big thing. And a lot of these athletes, unfortunately, are either on gear, which is related to, or also known as performance enhancing drugs. And this causes kids to think, oh, if I hop on this, I'm going to look like that. And this misconception that there are shortcuts to achieve your goals. And I would strongly discourage that and say kids who are trying to get into bodybuilding to first have a strong or have a good workout regimen, have a good eating diet, and over time you'll see whether this is for you or not. Try out everything too. When I initially started getting into the sport, I was big into powerlifting. After a while, I would start noticing I would ego lift, and that also
like your form is out of the question. You're just like going for heavyweight and hurting yourself.
Yeah, and after a little bit of rehab and stuff, I realized, okay, maybe powerlifting wasn't for me. Let me pursue now bodybuilding. And so, yeah, I would strongly encourage you to dive into that world, figure out what you like and stuff before you make a set decision. And then once you're comfortable with your decision, although I don't advocate for performance-enhancing drugs, if that is something you do decide to do, go through like an HRT clinic. Go through somewhere where it does tie into having somebody who can go over your blood work and kind of coach you through, okay, this is how your body's responding to these things. Do it in the safest way possible to negate any negative side effects
because there's risks tied to it. It's just a matter of, there's risks tied to everything, getting a freaking tattoo, right? So it's just a matter of like, I think we were talking about this earlier, but push yourself to your actual limit before you're going to start messing with any substances or messing with anything like that, right?
100%. And the kids would be really surprised too. I usually say before to really see where your genetic potential can go, give yourself until you're 25. Give yourself a time limit or a specific time period where you're going to be completely dedicated to this and completely dive in, and you'll find out so much about yourself and just what you can achieve naturally before you do start dibbling and dabbling in these other things. And I understand it's hard just due to everybody being so nervous about when I do compete, whatever, I want to be the best, or there's this competitive nature, and I get that as an athlete, but you'd be surprised how many people hop on performance enhancing drugs and look natural and look, and like I said,
and they're not even working out that well.
Yeah. And they're not, or just that they are working out well. Their body just doesn't respond well to it. There's some people who are even actually allergic to some of these performance enhancing drugs. So that's why I don't think the performance enhancing drug is not the end all be all. It's just something that some people take to take themselves to the next level. And that shouldn't be even in the options until usually you'll know whether this is something you're going to do professionally or not. And that's when you should make those types of decisions.
Yeah. I feel like when I was, and you can learn a lot on YouTube, of course, right? You can learn how to tattoo on YouTube, right? I went down that path. But I remember when I was looking into BCAs, a lot of the fitness guys I was listening to were like, BCAs will only make a difference if you're already maxing out on your general ability. So it's like if you're already doing everything you possibly can and maxing out on it, then you can try adding BCAs and it'll make a difference. If you're not maxing out on your diet or your lifting and all that, BCA is just a waste of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's BCAs are a supplement. Supplements are supposed to add into addition to, so what is a supplement? So a supplement is something that's going to aid into whatever program you're already having. It's not the difference maker. So there's all these people that will say, oh, add this, whatever, and it's going to change it. You're going to blow up. Or like you hear kids talk about creatine. Or if I take creatine, whatever, I'm going to blow up. If that was the case, whatever, everybody would be huge, whatever, in the gym. That's not the thing, whatever. How your body responds, everybody's different. So there's no one product that's going to take you there, and everybody finds this out eventually for themselves. But that's where, the biggest thing is having a good diet, sleep regimen, and workout regimen, and being consistent. Consistency is always going to outwork intensity or any of these other things. Although intensity does matter, I would say, with training.
Yeah.
And
drinking water. I mean, that, I've been playing soccer for a long time. So it's like, I know when I'm not drinking enough water. So, but I've realized that, and you fucking carry your Hydro Flask jug around as well. But a lot of people that I know, even ones who work out, like they don't drink nearly as much water as I feel like they should. And I think that's probably a normal problem just for people in general. They just don't hydrate enough.
Yeah. I even get a lot of people, cause I do work at GNC. I do have a lot of people who come in and, before workouts, they have headaches or they usually are very fatigued, or even during their workouts and stuff, they usually gas out a lot. And a lot of these people don't realize that while you're working out, they're sweating out a lot of sodium. So you're losing a lot of electrolytes. And one of the things I do say is pretty important is making sure you're drinking some type of electrolytes before you go into the gym and even during. Best way to know is if you are one of those people that work out and you tend to sweat a lot, usually you're one of the people that should be taking more electrolytes during these activities and stuff to make sure your body's properly functioning and hydrated during these activities to get the best results possible. Yeah. So electrolytes, very key.
Yeah, and I know for a while I was like, maybe not abusing it, but I would consistently take pre-workout, which I don't take anymore these days. But I feel like, and I would get unbelievable workouts when I would drink pre-workout, right? And I would be pumped up, feel great. There's, of course, always a little creatine in there, which helps with your workouts. But I just remember like the caffeine overload is what just kind of like made it hard for me to focus outside of working out and all that. So like personal decision, I don't take pre-workout anymore. But I know that a lot of younger people are like, oh, dude, 2 scoops, let's go.
Yeah, dude, there was a kid that came into my store about a couple of weeks ago, and he bought a pre-workout that had 300 milligrams of caffeine. And then on top of that, he was mixing 2 C4 drinks on top of that. So I think each C4 drink had like 250. So 250, and then another 300. So he was having 800 milligrams of caffeine, and he would talk about having a lot of anxiety and just feeling, and then also gassing out pretty quickly. And I was like, dude, that's not sustainable. Yeah. So it's like more energy isn't always the best solution to the problem. That's why I think you should also, and again, you'll get this as you talk to more people in the gym. There's other things that can help, like carbs. Your body's primary form of fuel is carbohydrates or glycogen. And a lot of people don't realize that if you just throw in some simple carbs, not complex carbs, but like some simple carbs right before you work out and stuff, these can keep your body fueled throughout your workout as well, and can also make a big difference as far as the pumps you get and stuff like this. Or even nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up blood flow. It allows.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that also helps out, and that also falls into the non-stimulant category of pre-workouts, and that can also be a game changer for some people. So I strongly encourage people to, even when you're stepping into a supplement shop, talk to the guy. For sure. the most part, most of them generally are going to try to help you out as best as they can. So ask them questions, as many questions as possible. If they are just pointing straight to one product without answering any questions, usually that's probably somebody you probably shouldn't take advice from. But for the most part, a lot of them are going to be open ears to whatever you're looking for to find the best supplement that to suit your needs.
Yeah, and you got to know to ask. You know, that's the big thing, right? What's up with people? I forgot about this, but like people would eat Jolly Ranchers or something while they're working out, or like what's going on with like even like insulin? Some people would fucking get insulin. Is that related?
Dextrose, as far as the candy, it's like a simple sugar or carb, and it provides somewhat of the same difference. Even Rice Krispies was a big thing. Some
sort of sugar.
Some sort of sugar that would help out with. It pumps. So your muscle uses carbohydrates or glycogen to shuttle protein to the muscle. And some people would take some some form of Rice Krispies or gummy bears or something like that, and take a protein drink as a pre-workout meal and to get a better pump. And this does work. You do have to also be careful, especially if you are one of those people who dibble and dabble in the dark arts or the
black ops.
The performance enhancing drugs and stuff, because as your body gets used to these high spikes in insulin, your body becomes more insulin resistant. So then you do run the risk of becoming like a borderline diabetic or and these are things people don't think about, whatever, in the as far as the long term.
It's like what Rich Piana wasn't. Didn't he used to go through like weird medical issues?
Dude,
I mean, he's gone now, so
yeah, unfortunately,
that's a lesson. But.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. Yeah, no, his situation was very complex because although he was abusing steroids and taking a lot of things, he was also abusing painkillers. So just due to as far as how big he was in size, the amount of weight he was pushing, he was taking a lot of painkillers and stuff to deal with some of these aches and stuff. And he, unfortunately, just the mixture and the combo was a deadly combo for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think people should be more cautious as far as the things that they're taking, as far as think bigger picture as far as when it comes to taking supplements.
Yeah, and that's like most things in general, right? You know, sometimes it's easier to make a certain decision in the moment, but you're compromising, the effects long term.
Yeah, and then decide, is it worth it for you?
Yeah.
Because if, let's say, I think right now, if your goal is to step on to Mr. Olympia, I think there's no secret that a lot of these guys that are stepping up are juiced up to the gills. But if you have that potential and stuff, and that's where you're passionate about, some people, they don't mind dying to achieve some of these goals and stuff. Me personally, not for me, but I kind of like my life. But
it's like you remember there was like the Russian bazooka arm guy. You remember?
Oh yeah, guy? No, but that guy was doing synthol. So
exactly. Yeah, it was a little different, but
oils and
but he was like injecting it straight into his muscle, right?
Yeah,
I know guys down in Brazil do that, where it's like typical steroids. I think you're going into your glutes. Versus these guys are just injecting,
Well, that was what you'd be surprised about. Some of these, and there's no proven studies, but some of these guys are putting it directly into intramuscular, thinking that it's going to. Their coach will tell them that. But some of these. So we can talk about steroids or even some of these drugs and stuff. But synthol is an oil that makes the muscle grow in size, but there's no muscle. It's just it's inflated with like a bunch of oil and stuff.
Yeah.
And it
so
gives
just visually,
but it can make you look pretty disproportionate.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
In fact, the only case where I've seen it not look that bad is maybe Rich Piana. He did a little bit of synthol in his calves.
I could see that.
But I mean, little body parts like that, nobody's really paying attention to too much, and you have to do maybe small amounts.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that point, it's not even muscle. It's just you're just
physically like bloated almost.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's with certain gear and stuff, people do inject straight to certain muscular sites if they want to grow it, and even I know it with human growth hormone or IGF, which is insulin-like growth factor, they'll do it directly to the site that they want to grow. And although there's no studies or out or because I don't think that's ethical, but there's no proven studies that it works. Some people claim that it makes them feel like that they're growing that body part, or they've seen results with doing that. So
society will learn. I mean, if these guys start dropping dead, I mean, you know what I mean? Avoid that.
Yeah, that's the scary part too, is about when you are triggering your body to, it's not telling that one body part to grow. It's your brain's releasing more HGH, and I mean, your fingernails can grow more. You'll notice that your hair. Some of these guys, their hands grow, whatever. It's like there's no telling what body parts and stuff are going to grow, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fucking gamble. Yeah, what do you call it? So I guess like taking a step back, like for high schoolers, young adults, like of course we advocate getting into some sort of sport, something healthy for your body, right? Like if we just think about the average kid, is like, you know, a lot of kids don't work out, or a lot of kids just play video games or whatever, but like do something healthy. These days we have like Instagram, TikTok, so there's all these kids are seeing these like super buff guys, but the kids should recognize that a lot of these guys are on gear if they're not open about it. And a lot of these guys are also famous because they have good genetics, and it's like, you know, it's not that easy to look like a lot of these people who have 1 million subscribers and followers and stuff. So I like that tip and warning for, you know, kids these days. And also, like, you know, don't be messing around with, you know, supplements and, you know, or, you know, any gear or anything like that, unless you are a full blown committed, you know, competing bodybuilder. What else was I going to mention? So I remember I mentioned to you that, like, you know, with all my guests that I talk about who have their own level of expertise and all that stuff, like, what do you feel, aside from like social media, like what do you feel is, like, even you growing up in California and all that, like what would you say you feel has been different about the world now for kids compared to when we were kids? Because, like, I know, even like I said, like we didn't have iPhones, we didn't have smartphones, so like we fucking were forced to interact with each other and like have, you know, friends and stuff. But like, you know, what would you want to communicate to the American next generation?
Go outside and touch grass, guys. No, it's scary too.
Joke.
Yeah, no, it's scary. How many kids stay cooped up in like their house, scrolling through Instagram, and I know you said it's aside from social media, but a lot of these kids, because they don't go out and explore or learn, they don't ever grow in a certain, I guess. So they build up so much social anxiety that they never ever grow. I feel as a society, we're all slowly getting into this point where everything is accommodated to us as far as living from home. So you can have your groceries shipped to you. You can have, I don't know, you name it, whatever, anything. Pretty much. Yeah. You can work from home.
Yeah.
You can work from home. And I feel like society, especially as humans, whatever, we need
Social
interaction. And you kind of lose that through social media because there's like it's like a face you put on. It's not authentic. True. And stuff. And I feel you can read more on body language and stuff by going out and talking to people, or learning things from outside in the real world. And I don't know, I just feel like growth needs to happen where you're uncomfortable, and we're moving backwards to where everything needs or is made to be at your comfort of your own home. So I would strongly encourage kids to go out, learn, or do something. Find out what you like too. And I don't know. Yeah, just build good friendships. Be a good person.
Yeah.
Even if people do you wrong or anything like that, I mean, at the end of the day, you can always look back on to how you reacted to it, because you're always going to live with regrets and stuff, and that'll be something you won't regret, is that you were a decent person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Especially when you're on your deathbed.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I like that. No, I mean, you know, a lot of kids these days, like, I think a lot of kids these days find social interaction through video games online, which is better than no social interaction. But I definitely think we as a society and like responsible adults should be directing kids to in-person interaction and play and fucking go climb trees and shit.
I like that. I like the gaming, especially now that there's you can make a career out of it. It's just with anything like all communities and stuff. There are some toxic lobbies and stuff. You can go on. You hop on to any old Call of Duty lobby. You'll hear a couple words flying that you wouldn't hear out in public. But I don't know. I strongly just think that kids, although yes, you enjoy your gaming, enjoy all these things, social media, but obviously with anything in moderation. You don't want that to consume your life because it can be very toxic as far as your mental health. But yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
And I would say, too, as far as even on mental health, I think a lot of kids embrace talking about things, especially to your parents too. Even if you don't feel that right now you have the best communication with your parents and stuff, that is something at the end of the day, those are people you can always rely on. And they may not give the best advice or anything, but just establishing some type of good relationship with your parents will pay out as you get into an adult. And it's something that you'll look back on too as when they're not here. Your parents should be somebody you should have open communication with, and that's very important. That's something took me a while to learn, but I'm glad now that I have very good communication with my parents.
Yeah. And, we appreciate and respect our parents because they had to fucking put up with us. So,
I just want to touch up what Lee's talking about is there's been a couple times too where we got in trouble for a curfew, and literally I remember the cop took me to my house, whatever. And my dad answered the door with no t-shirt and stuff, and the cop was like, "Yeah, they're pretty cool cops too about it too," because they could have been a lot was a lot more dicks, whatever. But
this was outside the liquor store.
Dude, I'm so sorry. I remember,
dude,
Zach was like, "I'm not talking to you guys."
Yeah, he got it worse, man. I mean, I got in trouble with my parents as well. Fortunately, my oldest brother picked me up, so I got to avoid that for a little bit. But yeah, I remember, Zach was grounded for like a year or something insane. But I guess we were doing something we shouldn't have. And we were
it could have been a lot worse. I mean, especially,
for sure. But damn, dude, I appreciate your time. Like, I want to do more of these, you know what I mean? So like, I'm just trying to get into a rhythm of, doing this once or twice a week, but, bring people together. Like, you're a good human being, you know what I mean? Like, you always had my back, growing up, and, hopefully we continue that on forever. But yeah, man, I hope to have you back on. Appreciate all the wisdom you're sharing to the next generation of Americans. And hopefully by, next year, the year after that, the environment is better around us, the economy and all that stuff. So appreciate it, man.
Thank you. No, it's an honor to be on here. So.
Hell yeah.